The forces of revolution are undeniable. And I cannot deny the claims of those who proudly proclaim that we are at the dawn of a natural gas revolution in Pennsylvania and in America. I've seen it with my own eyes in my own town, which is why I support the safe and responsible development of natural gas. The seeds of revolution have been firmly planted, much like the seeds of another revolution, taking root way back in the year 1626. And then, although true independence was over 150 years away, our nation had already embarked on an inevitable course of political revolution. Now, we all know that those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it, which is why I want to go back 386 years, when the rights to a little island called Manhattan were sold by the Delaware Indians to new explorers for trinkets worth all of $24. Now, much like the lame excuses to justify support of House Bill 1950, it may have seemed like the best we could get at the time, or better than nothing. But we all know now how incredibly short-sighted their judgments were. Ironically enough, by the way, the local inhabitants of Manhattan, members of the Wappinger tribe, never even saw any of that $24. And not unlike the people of the Wappinger tribe, it is the people of Pennsylvania who are today seeing their resources usurped for mere trinkets. 5 years ago today, stock price of Range Resources, a natural gas driller based in my legislative district, sold for $30.60 a share. Today, despite the repeated and unsubstantiated cries of an unworkable environment, Range's stock is up 200%, trading today at $60.81 a share. Now, I'm no mathematician, per se. I'm no economist. But how can you cry about how hard it is to operate over the same period of time that your stock price doubled? In the middle of a recession, no less. How many of the families and small business owners in Pennsylvania can say that their value has doubled over the past 5 years? Probably not many. But then again, the people of Pennsylvania didn't have the $3.7 million spent by the natural gas industry to lobby last year alone. To add insult to injury, we're here debating a bill that will take an impact fee designed to offset the impact of drilling in Pennsylvania and their communities, but it's actually loaded with goodies for the industry. There are millions of dollars going to housing affordability programs. That means that we are directly subsidizing temporary housing for workers from out of state, which means less money for Pennsylvania hotels and landlords. There are millions of dollars to develop natural gas vehicles, because the supporters of this bill must think that a direct government handout is preferable to allowing the free market to develop. And finally, there is a direct cash incentive earmarked for the Shale Oil Company, which posted a profit of over $20 billion. That's billion with a B in 2010. Now, on the same day, our governor announced a budget which slashes funding for Pennsylvania students. How can this body possibly vote to directly subsidize a foreign oil company? A vote for House Bill 1950 is a clear and unequivocal vote for corporate welfare of a magnitude that should be unfathomable to the elected caretakers of this Commonwealth. And if you think your constituents were outraged by public dollars going to the Arlen Specter Library, how do you think they're going to feel about the taxpayers footing the bill for Shale Oil? But like the song says, money can't buy us love. The real issue is the preemption of local control under this bill. And before I was privileged to stand here as your state representative, I served as a township supervisor. And I can tell you that despite what you may be hearing, House Bill 1950 will decimate local control and local accountability for oil and gas operations. And let's be clear about the distinction. Eliminating local control is not the same thing as eliminating the jobs and economic benefits of natural gas. We can have both. But don't take my word for it. In last year's budget address, Governor Corbett said he wanted Pennsylvania to be the Texas of the natural gas drilling industry. But then how do you explain that the state of Texas actually allows local zoning regulation of natural gas for things like setback distance, sound levels, water usage, and permitting processes? The very same rights being stripped away from Pennsylvanians in this bill are established law in the driller's paradise of Texas. Personally, I think this is a golden opportunity to take a page from the Texas playbook and send a message to the natural gas industry. You didn't mess with Texas, so don't mess with Pennsylvania. Somewhere in this debate, common sense got lost. The middle ground evaporated, and the voice of reason faded to an inaudible whisper. We can have jobs and clean water. We can have clean energy without a compressor station 300 feet from a school. We can have domestic energy without corporate welfare. And we can have a fair and reasonable fee that really addresses the local impact of drilling without all the propaganda and the misleading rhetoric. We're in a unique position because we can indeed have it all. But in order to do these things, we need to have an open and truly honest debate about the future of natural gas drilling in Pennsylvania. And anyone who's followed this issue knows this debate has been anything but open and honest. Special interest groups representing local government and environmental associations have been forced to give half-hearted and disingenuous support for these bills in order to provide much-needed political cover. And they should be ashamed of their actions. Any claim of transparency in this process is a total joke. The people of my district deserve to know that the government relations lobbyists from the energy companies located in their district had more involvement in the writing and passage of this bill than the representative from their district. The passage of House Bill 1950 will serve as an unequivocal message that the era of transparency and reform in Pennsylvania government is dead, and the people that push the green buttons tonight are the ones that killed it. I came to this chamber 5 years ago with a naive optimism that we could work together to properly develop natural gas in Pennsylvania and promote clean energy and job creation, which we all say is our goal. But as we all know, hope in government has become a lightning rod for criticism and ridicule. So instead, I stand here tonight in the well of this chamber in a fog of hopelessness. We had a chance to do a great thing for the people of Pennsylvania, and it appears we are on our way to failing spectacularly. But the hopelessness I feel is nothing compared to the hopelessness our constituents will feel in years to come. The hopelessness of a parent dropping their children off at a school with massive compressor stations just a stone's throw away, emitting noise, fumes, and carcinogens. The hopelessness of a hunter who was unable to eat the deer he just shot because he's not sure if it had been drinking from a water impoundment with inadequate fencing. And make no mistake, any true friend of hunters and sportsmen in Pennsylvania should be opposed to this bill. The hopelessness of a worker who can't get a good paying job in the industry because he or she had the audacity to join a labor union and learn a skilled trade. The hopelessness of township supervisors who will have no choice but to raise your local taxes because the impact fee money is woefully insufficient to fix the roads and bridges. But the pure and utter hopelessness I feel today is nothing compared to the hopelessness that all of the people of Pennsylvania will ultimately feel, knowing that not unlike the Wappinger Indians in 1626, their government abandoned them for a small handful of trinkets that they'll probably never see. Vote no on 1950.